Yeah, well, good morning. Welcome to Danger Shop. I had a friend in the UK who was asking me about my vacuum setup. Mine's a little more basic than some folks. So the first part of this, I'm going to have to hand hold the camera. And then when I get to the chuck part, then I will switch over to a tripod so I have both hands free. This is where my pump sits up on the wall. It's a Harbor Freight single stage. The copper pipe you see coming out the top is my modification. It is the vent for the pump. I found out that it puts out a oily mist as it operates, because normally you'd be using this out in an open parking lot or an open shop. Well, it turns into a oily fog in the shop. Well, can't have that. No way. So I pulled the valve out of the top, used copper fittings and clear plastic tubing. It comes up and out, and it runs down basically the bottom of my tool rack down in the corner there, and goes out through the wall to the outside. Definitely a big improvement. I don't like breathing that stuff. And the other thing is I have 1/4-inch copper line with a fitting that comes off the suction side of the pump, and I've adapted it so it fits 5/16 fuel line, just regular rubber automotive fuel line. See if I can get in here close enough. That runs into a T, and off that T is my ball valve where I can bleed in air through this fuel filter, so I'm not sucking dust and stuff into my pump. I regulate the vacuum by feel, pulling on the piece, making sure it's sturdy enough, and it depends on the size of the turning. Generally, unless I'm turning something real thin, this thing's at full vacuum. That way I don't have to worry about it. I just do whatever I want to do. The hose comes down to another fuel filter that is to protect the pump. Any dust, little chips, anything like that that may come in through the vacuum chuck, coming off the inside of a bowl or something I missed flying in the air. It then connects to the polyethylene tube that runs through the spindle to the chuck. It's actually part of the chuck. Well, that light's off bright, sorry about that. This is my 4-inch chuck. This is the biggest of this style that I have. I bought the bearing kits from Frugal Vacuum Chuck. 27 bucks, so you can build 3 chucks yourself out of PVC, wood, whatever. I just have them mount on my 2-inch ripple jaws. Makes it so much simpler. I just throw it on there and I'm done with it. Don't have to take my chuck on and off. But it worked really great, easy to build. I got a couple of videos on my personal page about building the vacuum chucks, and I just use either craft foam from Wally World or wherever, Hobby Lobby, you can get it. I use that as my soft material on the turn nose cone. Now, I've run these 750 RPM, sometimes on my small ones I've run them even higher. They do hold, okay? They hold. You just got to make sure your vacuum is really pulling. This particular chuck will put about 150 pounds per square inch pressure on the bowl. So if you're turning something a 1/16 of an inch thick, don't use full vacuum. Otherwise, you'll have taco chips. Once it hits full vacuum, it would just literally implode it. I will switch this off for a minute, get it on a tripod so I can have both my hands free, and don't want to do anything stupid today. So just give me a minute. Okay, I said we'd meet again. Alright, these, hope you can see that. It's hard for me to tell. I always leave, this is a roughed out bowl, but it'll work for the time being. I always leave a center dot in the end. Even if I've got this turned off, I always make sure I have at least that little center dot to go by when I go to remount a bowl, even on when I'm finished turning, because that way I know I'm collecting center when it goes on the vacuum chuck. I know it's centered. This ought to be a wild ride. I'll turn it down. That way, once I've turned the tenon off or converted this to a foot, is what this will happen. This will be converted into a foot. Once I've got that little piece here done, at full vacuum, I back off the tail stock. I can go ahead, blend it in, finish off the bottom. I have turned small bowls completely with a vacuum chuck inside and out. I wouldn't really recommend it for big bowls. You're talking a lot of leverage when you get out here at the edge. You get even a medium to a small catch, could break the vacuum seal and flip that bowl off in your face. So I really wouldn't recommend using vacuum strictly for the whole bowl. They come in handy. I prefer them 10 times over instead of coal jaws, which I have umpteen sets of those that I've built. Like I said, this is a 4-inch chuck. When I disconnect it, the end of my hose, I don't want no critters or dust and stuff. I just take a small bolt, stick it in there. I'm good to go. Nothing's going to get inside my vacuum hose. Okay, that was the 4-inch. I have these two, as you can see, various sizes. This is for some pretty small stuff I've been doing lately. Just small little bowls, kind of on the Asian line of little mini rice bowls, maybe even some sake cups, things like that. This, I've done 10-inch bowls on this, cleaning up the bottoms, turning the foot. It'll hold them. You just don't want to get stupid being in a hurry using a 3/4 inch gouge. I mean, it will hold at full vacuum. It's not a problem. It seals well. Now, when I want to do something big, that's big. I can hold a 16-inch bowl on this, and yes, it works. At full vacuum, I've had a 16 by 5 bowl on that, and it just fits on the 2-inch ripple jaws that I've got on there right now. It'll fit right on there, so I can pop the bowl off the chuck, turn it around, it's ready to go on the vacuum plate. It just mounts right up, very simple. But like I said, when you're getting a bowl that big and you're finishing off the bottom, I bring the tailstock up until the last little nub. Otherwise, like I said, no matter how light a cut you think you're taking, all it takes is one little piece of crazy grain to get a catch. And this is a layer of underlayment like you would use under laminate flooring. This is the foamy side. It's just glued on. I use that Super 77 glue. It works really well. But then again, this was a Frugal vacuum chuck setup. They come ready to put thing together. Just a matter of drilling a couple of holes and putting in 2 screws, and you can do a vacuum chuck in a hurry. You can do them flat like this, cups like that. I've still got 2 more of these setups with the bearings and the tube. I've got 2 more yet that I want to make a couple of specialty vacuum chucks for some ideas I got, holding hollow form vases that are narrower at the top. You'd be able to fit right inside cone style with some padding so that I can hold it on there while I finish the bottoms, so I don't end up scarring up the nose with some kind of wood tenon setup, which never seems to work just right. But that's the vacuum setup. A lot of guys get gauges for theirs so they can see exactly how many pounds of vacuum they're pulling. Me, it doesn't really matter. I can judge it by the feel. When I'm mounting it, I tug on it. I know how much leverage I'm going to be putting on it. Most bowls, if you're 3/16 or thicker, you just run the full vacuum. You're not going to collapse it. Run full vacuum. Like I said, with a 4-inch, it's 150 pounds per square inch. I've had some pretty nasty catches at 150 pounds per square inch, and I haven't lost one off a chuck yet. Knocked it wobbly one time, but I didn't lose it. But yeah, these are very handy. I like them better than I do cold jaws, which, unless you put modified grippers on there, I consider them iffy with bowls, because very few of us ever have perfectly straight flat edges that fit on those grippers. I've modified all mine with chair leg protectors, doorstop, almost like rubber corks for wine and stuff. They all have an angle, so if I turn the lip in, it grips from inside. If I have the edge turned out, it'll grip on the outside of it also. But they're a pain. I have to change over my chucks. I don't have enough chucks to just leave cold jaws on. This way, with the vacuum chucks, they just use my regular chuck jaws and I switch them on and off. Very simple, very easy. I lose patience with all these little screws and having to line them up just right, so it's easier for me. So basically that's what I use for vacuum. It's just a Harbor Freight single stage pump. I think they run about $95 now. The rest of it came from the hardware store out of the plumbing supplies. So course, I had the scrap wood PVC. That's easy to pick up in a lot of places. Sometimes you find guys clearing out the garage and they'll give it to you. But that's it. That's my vacuum setup. So I'll probably be using it later today, I hope. Have a good one.